So this is a brand new format of my older week notes. I used to write month notes and week notes and even a fortnightly thought notes. All of it was fine, great, and it was an opportunity for me to reflect regularly and kind of call out any points that I was pretty pleased about or anything that I thought, well, actually, I'd want to just make a record of it somehow. This is the next natural step for me, and it's actually taking a step back towards my podcasting / multimedia roots. I'm going to put these out as audio podcasts as well as video notes on YouTube, and obviously I'm going to try and get some kind of text-based addition to this, just a little bit of admin, and I'm going to start using Descript to create these episodes as they are. It allows me to just talk based on some bullet points and then ideally get a transcription off the back of it, which can then be added to the text-based notes. I'm also using TickTick in the background to compile my notes every week. So I've got a recurring item that I just starts on a Monday. I can add to it across the four main sections as I go through the week, and then I can use them to record when I go into this session. So that's the admin out of the way. You can also see I'm using my relatively high-tech microphone here. I've got an external webcam which has got 1080, so at least the quality is a bit better. And I've just realized the backlight is probably a bit too bright, but I'll play around with that later. You might also notice a nice addition to the studio from Christmas, an on-air light box. Unfortunately, the light is quite bright and you don't get it on this setup, so I need to have a play with the configuration to make sure it works. But as you can see, there's a nice on-air box for those calls. So that's the admin out of the way. Let's go into life. It's been a bit of a weird week, if I'm honest with you. We had a 2-week break from Christmas, which was lovely. We had some downtime. I had some quality time with the kids and the family and the wife, and we saw a lot of friends, lots of relaxing. It was great. So culture shock of going back to work on Tuesday was a little bit of a hit, but we got there. And then we've actually had a bit of a curveball this week with my wife in hospital with some ongoing medical problems. So I'm recording this right before I go back to hospital to check her over and see how she's getting on. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but yeah, it's been a bit of a curveball this week, and it's thrown me a little bit. The other thing I just want to call out as well, on New Year's Day, fake bank holiday day, wherever it was, on Monday, I tried to take the kids to Alton Towers, one last trip before returning to school and work. Little did I know that they'd completely reduced all the rides and attractions down to a select few CBBS attractions. Not great for 10-year-olds and 16-year-olds. So we managed to get credit to use it later in the year. No refund, unfortunately. But yeah, pro tip, if you're planning to take your kids to Alton Towers from, I think it's November onwards, they are proper on reduced attractions, so just double check what's on and if it's suitable for your family. Bit of a wasted trip for an hour and a half each way there and back, but it is what it is, right? And the kids very understanding. So that's life. Yeah, as I say, bit of a weird one. Work-wise, as I say, back into it this week, it's been a bit of a culture shock. I'm trying to look at optimizing my workflow. I've been playing around with some new tools, so Notion is now on my toolkit of choice. I'm using that to kind of organize my thoughts and have like a proper knowledge base of information there. I'll use Trello as well to organize my actions, so there's a bit of overlap, but I like the fact there's some webhooks in Notion to allow me to kind of add things to different sections of my organization. I was also playing around with the idea of having a second brain, something I was reading about and hearing about, so it allows me to support that and organizing all my thoughts, not just work related, but a lot of side project stuff and any sort of life goals and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway, Notion is on my toolset now of choice. The Petals framework that I was growing last year had definitely gained some traction over the last month or so. Our agile coaches have been rolling it across other tech teams lately. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that grows. And I've offered to record like a video introduction to what it's all about, maybe some visualizations around how it can work and the theory behind it. I've got a few case studies to as well demonstrate how it's helped already, and they built some great guides around how to implement into the tech teams themselves. So I'm really looking forward to how that grows, and that's probably going to be one of my objectives for the next 6 to 12 months on how we can improve the culture and how teams work, and ideally measure in some way using Petals. On the initiatives front as well, the tech podcast is going into season 2. We've recorded an episode already and we're planning a few more now for the next month. We're now looking at how we can improve the setup behind the scenes, how we can optimize the workflow. And I've been looking at the metrics to get an idea with a baseline of numbers to work with from the first season. So yeah, lots of cool stuff going on with that. We've also got a wellbeing day that's been announced this week. So we won't be working on the final Friday of the month, which is nice. The organisation have gifted that to everyone. And we're looking forward to actually have some time off to yourselves and do what you want to do. Great stuff. And I think it's very timely with it being the January blues. They did the same last year. And yeah, I'm going to make the most of that with probably a swim, maybe some record digging and, my thing. So that's work. Side project wise, so that's the third of the 3. It's been New Year, so lots of nice ideas going around over Christmas. I've been getting ready for Make Life Work season 10. We've arranged a recording with Mike Streety and Sam Hardacre, so we're going to do a bit of an on-the-side reunion episode, have a panel discussion around a few things, but mostly around our goals for the year, with a bit of reflection on the past year. On the side, the community in Slack as well. I've been trying to get a kickoff arranged this week. It was meant to happen last night, but because of the family situation, I've postponed it a week. But yeah, we've basically planned an hour-long session after hours. So it allows all the parents to put kids to sleep and rest. It allows our stateside friends to join. And then we're also going to have like an async text-based conversation for anyone that can't make it at all. But ideally, I just want to get some faces to names, have a chance to just have a chat about some stuff that we want to do. Maybe even collaborate where possible. And ideally, how we use that community to go forward. What can we use it for? There's some great people in there. There's over 200 members now. There's a handful of people that are really active. There's a few people that drop in and out when they're available. But I'm really keen to make the most of that. It's been there for nearly 3 years now. It's something that started just before the lockdown. And it had a peak over the pandemic. But obviously, things have gone back to normal. And we're keen to try and, keep that going somehow. Finally, I put out a mix this morning on the House Finesse podcast. So it was something I recorded earlier in the week. It was my best of 2022 selection. Great fun recording that, mixing it and getting it done together. And then I did a little bit of kind of playing around with the artwork yesterday afternoon when I was sitting around a lot. So we've got a new theme, like a house style for all our artwork going forward. And I'm looking at doing some work on some merchandise, some t-shirts maybe, and some posters. And I don't know, we might even do some, maybe some record sleeves and something like, or slip mats or something that's a bit more relevant to our audiences. But yeah, so they're the 3 main side projects for me this year. I want to get Make Life Work going again, see if season 10 can continue or if that's going to be the final. I don't know yet. Yeah, on the side, I want to make the most of that community, and then House Finesse, just keep smashing it out. The numbers look great. People are loving it. We've got a great little community in the background that make it happen, and I'm really looking forward to what that holds. Finally, entertainment. So a bit of a weird week getting back into things. We've not really watched a huge amount of things, but I think on Monday we watched Before Weddings and a Funeral. It's one of my wife's all-time favourites. I tolerated it and I persevered. It's okay. I think it's dated quite badly actually, but you can see how Curtis's kind of formats have evolved over years, where the origins are and how Hugh Grant has hardly changed. Well, he has a little bit actually, more recent role. 2 stars for me on that one, I'm afraid. But I have been catching up on a lot of my podcasts. I was listening to a few Mac Geek Gabs while I was driving to Alton Towers on Monday. They're quite good for some technical Mac Apple-based tips. And then they had a big rant around how the latest macOS Ventura is Apple's Vista. I'm not going to disagree, but I'm only on the early stages right now. I don't know. I'm literally just playing around with it and seeing what it's capable of. I was also listening to the Grumpy Old Geeks episode 582. They did a bit of a summary of what happened last year and what's to come. And it started off on quite a positive spin, and then it went quite, cynical, as typical. But I did enjoy listening to those 2 as well about what's going on. And I also had listened to a series on BBC Sounds called The Birth of the New Guru. And they were talking a lot around Steve Jobs, around what about his history before he went into Apple, and went on a soul-seeking mission around India and all this sort of stuff. Fascinating stuff. I'd recommend it. I'll put a link in the show notes to have a listen. It's available on BBC Sounds for free. So they're my takeaways from the week from an entertainment perspective. And that pretty much finishes off this episode. I think that's enough content, and it's going to be like a short-ish piece of content that I can put out on my own website. It'll be on sidejoblin.com. I'm not sure how we're going to syndicate it yet. I'm going to look at using YouTube as well, and use Descript to kind of refine, edit, and publish. So this is going to evolve over time. I'm going to see how things go, Same formats though, same areas of topic, and hopefully if this works, I'll keep it going. I'd love to get feedback from anyone that does watch, listen, or read this stuff. See what works. If you want some more information about metrics and data that I've been playing around with, and my personal dashboard that I want to play around with a bit more and see what's going on in there. Anyway, I'm rambling now. That'll do. And I will try this again next week on a Friday evening, wrapping it up.